Alright, hey folks, I'm Mac, from McLean Lithics. We've got Mayor behind the camera. I've decided to do a video where I talk for once, so what we're going to start out by doing is just, as I unpack my napping bag for a session, I'm going to talk through my tools, how I made them, what they're made of, and why I picked the ones I did. Start out under my feet and under my butt. I already have 2 buckskins. I ordered them online. I'm not much of a hunter myself, so promise I ordered them ethically. And now we'll start into the bag. Right at the top, I have a new hammerstone. I just stole this from a grocery store today. Borrowed, because I'll put it back once I've chipped it. I'm gonna give this a try. I like hammerstones that are long, for when I'm trying to take invasive flakes that kind of band out. I like to have a kind of a point to them, like this guy. I also like that he's got a longer little end that I can use for wider removals. I'm gonna set that behind me. I usually set my stuff behind me on the rock. I also have a couple hand axes that I made back here, just with me while I nap. Alright, here's what remains of my first piece of buckskin I ever got. I've been using it as leg leather for about 6 months probably. I have used it as my outer leather. I've used it for pressure flaking pad. I have used it to stand on, sit on, bleed on if you haven't noticed. And it is so small from demonstration after demonstration of testing and cutting to show things off, and also making wraps and handles for knives and blades. Next up in the bag, it's a big soft piece of deerskin. I actually use it as the front of my skirt. It's nice and soft on the front of me. But I like to get this because it's very thick, spongy. You can see the inside's got this kind of chamois material. It's nice and squishy, so that once I roll it up, usually like this, I usually like it about that thick. I'll set that right here, and then I'll take my little gross grimy buckskin, put that over top, so I've got a nice cushion under here, but I'm not going to tear up that deer skin because admittedly I want to keep it soft. Starting out next, start out with this guy. I call it my dinner roll. Just a really big, really round hammerstone. You can see a couple chunks missing from it. I really only resort to this one when I've got a big bulb I'm trying to knock off, or get through a wall that kind of, when you're napping and it gets kind of into this shape, gotta bust through the edges. Sometimes I do resort to brute force. Works out sometimes. Alright, next up, these are probably my most commonly used hammerstones. Like I said before, I like a little pointed guy. I like to be longer, kind of like a long eclair shape. I'm a little hungry right now. An eclair. We're back. If you notice a cut, because the video got corrupted, but our file got repaired. Like I was saying, little eclair. Like this guy, you've probably seen him a lot in my hand axe videos lately. Hoping he lasts long. Probably won't, because I said that. Alright. Next up, I call these my Werthers. That's just what they look like. Again, hungry. You can see I've beaten on this one. I like to use these guys again for when I'm really trying to clap something off that I don't need a clean flake for, when I'm just trying to get something that's stopping my force from going through. I use that to clap it off with that tight force. I like to make sure that it doesn't have any give in my hand. I try and use it kind of like I would use a framing hammer and really just clap it down. Alright, what is up next? Here we go. I don't know how clear that is on camera. I have a neighbor who every night around the time we film works on their project car. They're doing really well. Exhaust sounds great. I hope they figure it out and put it away for shows soon. Here's my oldest lasting hammerstone, my biggest too. See, I've worked just all the way around this guy. Very classic shape, very helpful. I use it for just about everything, usually where I start, sometimes where I end, if I'm having a particularly tough piece. Oh, don't roll away. Okay. Here's my butt crack rock, aka my braiding stone. You can see I have really abraded this thing, I like to have this flat back on it, like this. That way I can do my downward abrading along the edges when I'm trying to get a specific shape for a platform, and then when I'm just trying to readdress an edge and I just want to really, if I want to readdress an edge, I will use this and run it along it and really flatten that platform out so I can then just go through and flake both sides, get it nice and sharp again. Alright. Next up, big guy. The one that just about everybody finds most interesting. Kids are always fascinated when they see this one. This is from a big old fallow antler. It was actually a wall hanger from a guy on eBay. Got it from him. It's in great condition. It's a little old. You can see it's got a little bit of, it's lost a lot of the color, but still plenty healthy little base here. It used to struggle a bit when I started, but after beating on it a lot, it's compressed and it's become a lot more akin to the other hammers I've got. Back here, I put a little hole in it and stuffed a piece of jasper in from the first stone I ever knapped. Bit of good luck to take with me as I got a new hammer. I'll stay on theme. I always have ants crawling up me. If you ever see me filming out here, there's an ant in my pants as you see it, guaranteed. Let's see if I can find that last hammer. Come on. Here we go. Alright, these are 3 whitetail hammers. Also, if you can't tell, just about all my tools are in between shaping. I need to go through and ball these out down, get them nice and rounded again. This guy's still alright, but all 3 of these are whitetail antler from around where I'm from. I'm from East Tennessee. I got these actually from a local, I believe their official term is a metaphysical shop, but witchy store. People like to use them for, I don't know what their specific purpose is in witchcraft, but they have them there. Very nice ones, and they were absolutely elated to know that I was going to be chopping it up. These are great. I have this really long curvy one that I like to really get a lot of whip behind when I'm trying to take one off. And then when I have very tight focus spaces that I'm really trying to make sure I get a lot of control in, I like this guy because it's got that little kind of notch to it where I can put my finger and really, oh, I don't know if the shadow of that carried over, but a huge bird just flew over. We have a lot of hawks and vultures out here, but also, if we're lucky, you know, kind of smaller on the big end, but we have a lot of bald eagles around here because we live next to a river. Goodness me. Okay, the fact that they've come over twice already tells me it's probably a vulture looping for something. But I got these 2 guys, a little bit stubbier. You can see on these, this guy's a bit more rounded out. This guy I like to sometimes use as kind of a chopping edge almost and get a very slanted point. It looks kind of stupid if you think I'm smacking it like that. It doesn't work very well. But if I'm holding it sideways, it's got a very split point that I can get and kind of, I like to use it to get fluting platforms started, albeit I'm not very good at fluting, given the fact that you can kind of tell that I don't have any fluting stuff on my channel anywhere. But this is what I like to try and get started with. It gets a nice bowled out platform with a short space in it though. Alright. Good. Start with an odds and ends for this. This is a chunk of that fallow antler I cut through to make my big hammer. This is what's left of that paddle. I've actually taken off this edge and this edge. Practice tips for my atlatls, woomera, throwing spear, propulsor, or propulsor, however you want to pronounce it. Sorry for the Americaning there. But I'm just going to keep this for various, you know, longer antler tools that I want to work out. I typically cut through my antler with a regular steel hand file. I find that it helps build up the strength and patience for stone tools. I, like many people when I first got started, tried to go straight from using power tools to do everything to cutting with a stone, and lost feeling in 3 of my fingers for about a week and a half, and became very, very familiar with a friend named carpal tunnel. So don't do that. Practice with a file. There's no shame in using a modern hand tool to get practice, get strength. You'll be able to do it longer, better. You'll have a better technique. And they're cheap as could be, and you don't have to
use all your flakes for really functional utilitarian tools. You can make some more fun biface and stuff like that. Get neat little fun ones out and not have to worry as much. Alright. Got a neighbor going by. Okay, after rummaging, gotta lose my belt. Oh, I got him. Anyways, stock pressure flakers. I have quite a few. I use a lot of different shapes, sizes, get different leverages, depending on how tired my wrist is, depending on what I need to get off, or what stone I'm working with. All of them are very flat right now, as you can see. I've been working with a lot of Keokuk and Georgetown this last week, and that stuff just chews through my tips. But what they're supposed to do, I can always come back through and resharpen them. I'll start off with the one that is the most effort into it. It's my little version of Utzi's flaker. Just a little white tail tine that I shoved into a little hole I drilled out here. I did Dremel the hole out. I did not use a stone for that one. And then just some little buckskin strips wrapped around it and glued down to hold it intact. I like the thing a lot. It's good for getting really chunky, wide flakes to move off. It doesn't get very long ones, but I also intentionally made mine a little bit thicker than Utzi's was, just because I didn't need that tip to be that small. I've got a bunch of tines, which I'm about to move on to. Alright, we'll start with the different types. Starting off with the kind of ones that I just kind of came to on my own in terms of shape. These two, very simple, white tail tines, the rest of my hammers, a little bit of leather shape wrapped onto it. I like this curve because when I'm planting it into my hip, this butt is very flat, not too miserable. I have a chronically separated hip from when I was younger. It's a pain and makes napping quite hard, especially if I pressure flake a lot, even if I'm using proper pressure, because that force is coming from my hips. But I like this guy's shape. It's very gentle, very soft, easy to work with. Just dropping everything right now. But this guy, another whitetail antler. This one I decided to keep it straight from the pedicle and follow the curve and cut it flat until I hit the main tine out here. I like this one because it's got a nice flat butt to plant onto my hip. And this kind of shape right here where it curves in, I can grip really easily on that and not put too much pressure holding my wrist and moving it around like that. It helps me plant it, use my legs to push. So this one's fun. I kind of use this for a lot of the more boring stuff, just when I'm readdressing an edge, or if I'm just in the shaping stage, getting a final, layer put on something. I like to use this guy. It's one of the few antler tines I like to use with glass. We'll get more into when I'm working modern glass later. Just about everything I'm saying right now mostly just applies to when I'm working regular stone, cherts. Don't really have any true flint. If I say flint, I mean Georgetown chert. Flint just sounds fun, and it helps me feel less sad about the fact that I don't have UK flint in my access. Obsidians, things like that, those are all great. Those are what I'm mostly working with antler tines. Well, since this one's making so much noise, alright, on to the ones that I have been directly inspired by other YouTuber creators to make specific styles because I watch their videos. This is a chunk of that paddle from that fallow antler. It's meant to mimic a flaker I see Donny Dust, Paleotrax, using his videos a lot. His is caribou, if I remember correctly, but I saw the way that he was able to grip and really get some good force to it, as well as having this really thin but wide base. I find that it lets me actually get some flex behind my pressure flaking, which I don't usually find is something you get from antler. It's, you gotta make a pretty unique and strange shape, and you can kind of see, I don't know how well that carries on camera. This thing's got a weird kind of curve to it that really helps it disperse the force. And you see the tip of the tine, it's very flat, but once I shape it out to be a bit more of that point, it's very good, gets a lot of leverage. I really like it. Once I've worked it down, I'll probably notch down the sides, notch down the tip, and make it into a little composite blade core dagger. Can't remember the historical example of that, or prehistoric. The other two that I'm inspired by him to make, he has a video talking about whitetail antler he works with. This is one that is a bit multi-purpose. You've got a small little notcher here. This is how I usually get my notches started. You can see from Georgetown this week, it is absolutely obliterated. I would not try and start a notch with something that flat. And this main tine standard flaker, lets me get kind of a unique grip on it. I like to run my finger through here when I'm really getting a tough piece that I really got to get leverage on. It helps me plant it and really kind of guide it very specifically when I'm trying to make sure I keep it on a specific platform. And then kind of my workhorse that I use the most, this is what I get pretty much once I am starting through pressure flake and I'm working something, it's gonna be this guy. I like having the option to, in his video he talks about using it like this, and I've used it a couple times. It's a good way to get, again, like a very guided, pointed flake with a really clean, you know, grip on that platform. I like to, when I'm getting that initial, you know, just kind of banging away as I go and popping that first layer off, I like to grip it, I like to take it, turn it so its curve is like this, and wrap my hand like that, so that then this part right here is resting into the curve of my hip, and I can get clean pushing with my legs, and again, take a lot of that pressure off my shoulder, and make sure that I'm using my hip efficiently. I doubt my physical therapist is watching this, but I'm definitely not that great about my exercises. All right, moving on to the rest of the bag. This is gonna be my kind of odds and ends. Get this weird guy. This is just what I use to shape chalk when I'm making chalk pendants. Got a bunch of little flat edges for me to grind on, and a couple little points for me to start funneling in to get the general like base notch started for drilling through it and stuff like that. Sorry, I just put my hand on my face. I don't know if you heard that. I use this to get the base notch started for when I'm drilling through chalk and making chalk pendants, things like that. I've been trying to make rings out of chalk. No luck so far. I've broken 2.5 of them. But they're gonna make cool little beads on a bracelet or something. Alright. I got a bunch of broken hammerstones in here. Got a couple of things I'll show you. Start out. Got 2 pieces of that fallow antler. These are both going to be knife handles that are waiting for their pick of blade. I may end up actually putting a little peg in this guy and connecting it to that composite dagger I was talking about, maybe making my flaker into later on. I think it's sitting in the backseat of my car, not in the bag, but I also have the rest of the antler cut currently to make a sickle out of at a later date. I'll just put these back in the bag because I don't need them for knapping. Last but not least, my little very thin notcher for when I really want to try and get a tiny little notch going with traditional knapping. This chunk of a jawbone, well, I say chunk, it's a little tiny piece of a jawbone that I filed down and got it as flat of a shape as I could. Ideally for this, it would probably work best if you had like an ulna or a rib bone or something like that, but this does all right. You can see it's a bit spongy. There's a lot of that spongy bone in there, but these back edges I can get some good bites on. And then, let's see, did I already take these out? Nope. These are some that rarely make an appearance on the channel. I don't usually use them. I don't use them at all for stone. It's something I very intentionally do since most of my stonework is demonstration or for reproduction purposes. I try not to use copper just because, regardless of, you know, what historical precedent there is for copper, I don't know all of them. I'm sure there is something. I'm usually not doing anything that has one. Usually in the Paleolithic, there's just no reason to assume there is. No sweat if you use copper. If you care if others use copper, shut up. If you use copper and care that others don't, shut up. There's a wonderful Instagram account. He also sells stone if you're looking for stone, but he's also just a good slogan, nap happy or don't nap at all, because you make shitty pieces when you get mad while you're napping. Sorry for saying shitty. I'm probably gonna bleep that. But these are my 2 copper flakers. I don't have any copper boppers or copper mallets or anything like that. I have a little tiny soft hammer that I made out of a called a hammer pressure pipe for like plumbing, and then just a little end cap. It sucked. All right, back to what we're talking about. But camera overheated again. Using a GoPro, it's great for action shots. Does not love long rambling shots. But my 2 flakers. God, my face. Mosquito. 2 copper flakers. The forest does not want me to talk about these things apparently, but just regular little flat nail. I like to have one flat one, get those big wide flakes going. I usually Even use antler when I'm using man-made glass, but sometimes when my wrist's hurting or I'm tired, I'll switch to copper. It's just a little bit more convenient to not have to stop and shape up my flaker every 20 minutes working on it. I find that like soda lime glass, that commercial like bottle glass, really tends to like just almost whittle the tip of an antler down. I don't have any moose antler or anything like that, so that might be a different story. But and then other than that, I've got a longer guy. I like took this little wider section where the tine met the body of the antler, and I put a little wrist strap again. Sometimes my wrist is tired, and that's why I'm using these things. So I like to be able to just kind of let it go. I was actually inspired to do that by Donny for one of his. I can't remember if it was on a flaker or a knife, but got that idea from that. I like to have a handle wrap. I get blisters when my hands slip up and down, and blisters suck. Nobody likes blisters. If you like blisters, seek help. But alright, we're back again. Sorry, the camera overheated twice talking about these things, but long one, fine flakes, fine chipping, fine notching, whatever. I'm gonna move on from the copper before the camera gets mad at me again. But yeah, again, don't give a shit about what other people nap about. It's boring. Worry about how they're napping or if they're being assholes to other people. Yeah, got my pile of flakes down here. If you sat through this rambling section, congrats. You'll probably get to see some napping. I think I'm probably going to include this as one video. I may edit it in half. If I do, oops. If not, let's get into some napping. I've got a little Georgetown nodule here. I'm saving my big old Georgetown nodule I got hidden in the house. Waiting. Gonna work with this one first. See what I can do. I've never really talked through napping before to a camera. I've done a couple impromptu demonstrations to kids in the parking lot while I nap on break at work. But other than that, never really talked through it. So if I say I'm going to do something and then mess it up, you all get to laugh along with me. It's going to be fun. Start off easy. My favorite hammerstone has rolled away from me, so I guess I'm going to try something different today. It's a new guy. I say that I stole this one from the grocery store. I say stole jokingly. They don't care. I've asked the manager before. They're very nice. It's an Aldi. Kroger also has good ones. Also Pizza Hut. If it's a Pizza Hut, they're usually got good stones. Also churches. Churches will have nice ones. If you see a church, they've got really nice stones, go up and ask. They will usually not care, especially specify that once you have used it, once it's cracked in half, you'll bring it back, therefore having 2 stones. But yeah. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start. Got a little strip of Cortex right there. I'm gonna try and take it off. Gonna use this pointed one. Try and drive a clean flake. Kind of. I doubt it'll probably stop right where this swiggle starts. You can kind of see it's got a bit extra to it, but yeah. Aha! I was right and wrong. Stopped right there, but if you get a nice close look, it didn't. Just left a little triangular piece for me, a little pyramid. There's a mosquito on my nose. Here's that flake. See a little piece of Cortex. I'm a sucker for a good little just shaped out flake with a little bit of Cortex on the back as a box opener, letter opener. People love them. It's a fun gift for a friend if you want something easy to do that's napping. Doesn't take a ton of effort, and it's fun. Okay, on the next removal, looking through the platforms I got kind of a wonky little boot shape there. I may end up keeping that actually as a grip for a hand axe maybe. Don't know what I'm going to do with this fully yet. See how I fare. I'm not quite good enough with Georgetown to say outright what I'm going to get, but for confidence sake, I'm going to say I'm going to go for a biface. Probably going to end up more with a hand axe, something along these lines. You see this guy's pretty chunky in the butt, but nice long, flaked out, cutting edge, good saw. Same with this guy, a little bit thick, but good long cutting edge, cuts clean through leather, good for scoring wood and stuff like that. Mosquitoes everywhere. Alright, here it is. Got it. It's the deer bleeding.
Hmm?
Bleating. B-L-E-A-T-E.
Oh my
Or I-N-G.
God.
E. Sorry. Bleating with a T. Deer over here yowling. I'm actually going to need to check over there. There's a bunch of vultures circling, and I just saw the deer walking from that direction, so I might go check, see if there's some bones to scavenge. Yeah, like that. Continue on with the napping. Gonna keep working through this platform here. Also, don't worry, my yapping is not the new norm for the channel. Silent videos will continue. This is just me working through this one while I was already chatting about the tools and stuff, answering some questions I've gotten. I did exactly what I was hoping it would. Took that ridge, made a nice clean straight spine. It's gonna make a nice simple arrowhead. I admire people's ability to make touching flake scars and everything. It's gorgeous, truly artwork. I'm not there yet, and personally I'd find the authentic, if that's the word, it sounds over the top, but I like it to look like something I'd find in the dirt, so I find my flake scars stop where I need them to get. I intend to try and leave enough that I could readdress them 1 or 2 times. I don't hunt, but I like to be able to use them to cut, demonstrate, show kids and stuff, and then show them how I can resharpen it, so make good use of this guy. Got a big pile down up my toes, but you guys don't get to see those. Alright, gonna start trying to get that guy off. Probably just gonna smack it away using the flat end of this thing. Nice little flake, change the shape of that there so I can bust it down that way. Yep, it's fall. You notice a bunch of jump cuts because the camera keeps overheating, as it already has been. Gonna keep addressing this edge. It's got a bit of a wonkiness to it. I'm gonna try and maybe pop this. You can see there's kind of a separation between the 2 layers of cortex. I'm gonna try and take this top one off here so I can come back and thin this little bump out. Thin the bump out. Got a nice big chunk. Let's call that a healthy flake. It's got a little split to it, and there we go. Drop that down there. See that clarity there. Oop. Little piece of cortex came off. Yeah, it didn't work perfect in terms of the angle it's set up, but it got a nice clean flake off. Got some cortex off, so I'm calling it a win. Alright. That kind of terminated too quick. more invasive than I wanted, but it'll do. Also, again, if there's a ton of cuts, the camera's been overheating like crazy. I don't think I'm going to include this in the video, and if I do, it'll just be a quick snippy snap here and there. Yeah.
Alright, so that's everything in my napping bag. I don't know how this is going to turn out fully edited, but I tried to do a napping section. I was trying to make a Chilean hand axe, snapped it in half while the camera is overheated anyways. So instead, made a little Oldawan Style chopper, kept the little boot-shaped butt, that chalk. Just made this. Only used this for it. New hammerstone now broken in. Got to use both ends. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And just a quick shout out off the top of my head to the YouTube channels that got me into napping and, you know, gave me the knowledge I needed to get here. I've never met another napper in person, but I originally started finding napping through Stefan Milo's video shouting out James Dilley. Then through that I found Will Lord. Will's great, super duper helpful. And then I found Donny Dust, who I'd stumbled on back when I had TikTok. I don't have TikTok anymore, don't really have any social media. Maya runs all the social medias, I just upload the YouTube videos. But Donny's very, very helpful. Lots of very specific and helpful stuff. And then off the top of my head, from people who've been really helpful on Instagram and just other creators, Alistair, I hope I said your name right, not Americaning too hard. Frog and Flint on Instagram. Chris Hill, or Kit, at New Lithics on YouTube and Instagram.
Jeremy Crow on Instagram. I don't think he has a YouTube. If you want to buy anything cool from him, he could use the help after Hurricane Helene. Tons and tons of other people have been super helpful. I'll put up a list of everyone I can think of, and everyone that, you know, is supportive. I'm sure you'll sound off in the comments being supportive, and I'll be sure to try and reply as much as I can and shout you guys out. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This has been something. See you next time.